Birds and mammals can do this. Reptiles probably to some extent. Amphibians, it's not known that they can do this. And that is, they can use the information they get, and instead of immediately commanding their body to do something, to move their muscles or to talk or whatever, they can think about it. They can consider what they're going to do before they act on it. And so I think I always use this example with you guys sitting here. You're very attentive right now, but you're probably thinking, man, he goes into one more of these anatomy slides and I'm out of here. I want to learn about crows, not all this brain stuff. But you're not getting up and walking out. But you're considering it. You're rolling it around. I might give you one more slide or two, and then, okay, you're up and gone. You send that command down to your muscles. Well, a bird does the same thing. It brings this information in, it processes it in various places, and then it can send the information back down the spinal cord to its muscles to move, or it can reconsider it because it has a connection like we do that allows that same signal, the same electrical signal that stimulates the muscles to go back to the brain and re-stimulate that part of the brain that originally thought about it. And they can change it. And that's how they change the vocalizations they make. They have loops, is what they're called in their brain, that allows them to refine and change and modify their song or their planned action and basically learn new things and reconsider those things before they shape it into a final electrical signal that they send down their spinal cord to their muscles to do things, whether it's their voice or whether it's actually moving or fluffing their feathers in a particular posture, for example. So we do the same thing, and so do the crows and ravens, and all birds, as far as we know, are able to do this. So that's why they can, I think, do some of these amazing things that people report. Their brain is big, it's able to process information and think about it and shape it to adapt to its environment and do these interesting things. So let's look at some of these weird stories that people have told me about and think about what the bird might be doing in this case. So I don't know if you all have seen ravens do this behavior, but this was seen in Colorado. And here there are two ravens that are soaring in a windstorm or just an updraft along a rocky face there. I'm sure you've seen the ravens here in the evening soar along the cliff faces here. But these guys had taken it a step further. They were actually surfing. They were carrying pieces of bark in their feet and using it to ride the wind to get a little extra airflow. I've seen them carry a variety of things, sticks and paper and things like that, but I've never seen them hold it like a surfboard in this case. And why would they do that? I mean, you know, ravens are great flyers. They don't need any extra help, really, in flying. They don't need it for some extra torque to make a twist. They can do anything in the air, really. Maybe they're showing off to each other. Social structure is very important for these birds, and they learn a lot from one another. They show off and demonstrate their dominance, maybe to a mate or to other members of their society. Could be part of that. It could simply be fun. And it's a very good explanation because we know, again, considering the brain of these birds, brains are, they form a lot, they form new connections, learning new things by play. In a relaxed situation, when the endorphins in their brain are providing good feeling, they're basically able to relax and try these new things out without the threat of punishment for doing it. Making a mistake that a predator might grab them or another bird might. So they're working out new circuits in their brain by playing all the time, just like we do. And there's no reason to think that they wouldn't do that for that reason in the long haul, but in the short term, for the reason of doing fun things, releases brain hormones that make you feel good. That's what motivates us to play, the release of those endorphins. And ravens and crows have the exact same chemical coursing through their brains when they do these sorts of things. Sliding in the snow. Maybe, have any of you guys seen this behavior here? I've seen it in Maine. This is from a photograph from Newfoundland. But basically, they slide in the snow, and the cool thing about it is they typically will get up and do this again. So maybe you saw there was a video out a few years ago where a hooded crow in Russia got atop of a little container, and he walked up on top of this church steeple, this steep roof, sat on it or stood on it and slid down on it, and that was neat. But you thought, well, he's just kind of trying to get some food off of it. But then he picked it up and walked back up and did it again. And he finally flew off with it. He wasn't going to leave it there for the next one. Captive animals obviously play. Here's a raven in a Copenhagen zoo tossing a ball back and forth. Again, getting a good brain release of endorphins. They play with other animals. This is a pet crow that a woman sent me video of, pulling the string in front of the cat so it would pounce on it. So not only do they have a good time, but they can also read the intentions and postures of other species, which would make sense with crows and ravens that often interact with other predators in the wild, wolves or coyotes and things like that. And they understand, both interesting to me in this case, the cat and the bird understand that they're playing and not really having a predator-prey interaction here. They can use insight to solve problems. This is an example again of that New Caledonia crow that I started with the video of. And here the task was again to get food out of a tube like the one did using the hook, but here they needed a straight long stick to get the food out. And that straight stick was only found in another cage that they needed a small stick that they had to pull up on a string to get the stick, to get that stick to solve that problem. And they let birds become familiar with the different pieces, but not all together. And when they first put birds in then to try this with all those 3 pieces out together, the average time to solve it was 6 seconds. So they understood the issue right away, what was needed, and went through the process together.